Welcome to another episode of CrossTalk. My name is Kevin Tocci. As you've come to know from this particular program, what we like to do is try to focus on things that go on in the two communities that we serve, both Whitman and Hanson. And there's a variety of different things that we like to talk about here, whether they're political issues, maybe they might be upcoming events, maybe it's just a person in the community that we bring in to speak with them. Or, like I said just a few seconds ago, an upcoming event. And actually coming up on Sunday, May 10th, Mother's Day, a very special event is going to be taking place at Whitman Town Hall at 2:30. And if you're a fan of great music, then our next guest, you're going to want to hear from him. He is the conductor of the Southeastern Philharmonic Orchestra. We have Mr. Robert Babb. Welcome to the program, my friend.
Thanks, Kevin.
And we're here to talk a little music as we're going to find out about the orchestra, its origin, maybe a little bit about yourself as well. First and foremost, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been the conductor of the Southeastern Philharmonic for 35 years.
God bless you.
It may seem like a long time to you, but every Thursday night just comes and goes, and it's a routine, and it's a lot of fun.
Talk to me about what type of an orchestra. Is this folks from the community? Do you look for folks to come and join it? Tell me about the group itself.
Well, it's an amateur orchestra. It's a community orchestra. We're celebrating our 100th season this year. Wow. And what happens is we are the oldest continuing community orchestra in the country. And a community orchestra is made up of volunteer musicians. And they come from all over the South Shore. They come from as far south as Duxbury, Whitman, Hanson, on up through Quincy. We attract players from all over the South Shore.
Folks may or may not know it, but you might have a couple of years on the Toll House Cookie, because I believe that the orchestra, because that's what Whitman is known for, the Toll House Cookie. Ah. But your contingency came from Whitman, correct?
Absolutely. Our origins are here in this town, in this community, and that's why we're coming back to do our 100th anniversary celebration concert.
What types of works and pieces do you guys like to focus on? And is it something that strictly the conductor picks, or is it something that you guys do as a collective?
Well, usually I let the orchestra have input into what we're doing, but it's the difficulty of the work that matters. And so I usually have say over what we're playing. But I mean, we're not a classical orchestra per se. What I've tried to model it after is the old Boston Pops Orchestra of Arthur Fiedler, with some, an overture with some things like From the Whole Planets, Jupiter, show tunes, some light music. It's the kind of concert that everybody enjoys going to. You don't have to understand classical music to come and have fun at an SPO concert.
What got you involved in conducting? Have you always had a love of music? Are you somebody who went from being someone who plays an instrument to somebody who wanted to lead the band?
Well, music has always been my life. Especially when I went from elementary school to junior high school, when I had to give up all the sports that I was playing to be in the band that met after school. And it was when I was in 8th or 9th grade that the band conductor would go out to make a phone call, and he would let me conduct the rehearsal. And it wasn't an egotistical thing. Matter of fact, when I was in 9th grade, for 9th grade graduation, I conducted the 9th grade chorus at the graduation. So it was just something that I enjoyed doing. A lot of people look at conductors as egotists and people that have to rule and all that kind of stuff. And what happens is that as a conductor, you become a teacher. And the music that you hear and the music that you study, you want to impart upon the musicians. It's not being a taskmaster or anything like that. Because what I found out with the SPO is these people on Thursday nights, they want to come and have fun. They don't want to come and be yelled at, screamed at, and all that kind of stuff. They want to come and laugh and play the best music that they possibly can.
35 years. I mean, did you think that 35 years later you'd be here celebrating the group, the orchestra's 100th anniversary?
Well, here's an interesting fact, Kevin. Back in 1979, I had graduated from the conservatory. I spent some time down at Rutgers in Newark studying with my conducting teacher over in New York City. Then I followed him to Paris for a month in 1978. My first audition for an orchestral job was the Southeastern Philharmonic in Weymouth. Oh. And they were a bunch of ragtag. I went home and I said, oh, what have I gotten myself into? But what I promised them, as long as I was in the area, I would conduct them. Now, usually their conductor only lasts 5 years, and I keep bringing that up to the president, every year. She said to me, very first season, about every 5 years we change conductors, and that was 35 years ago.
God bless you. So you've really stretched out your time here. Maybe it was dog years. Just saying.
I don't know.
But what is so fun? What do you feel is so fun? And it seems as though you enjoy what you do. What brings you so much joy from doing this?
Well, most of the satisfaction comes from my musicians really making music. And I just said to them last night, and my wife who plays in the orchestra posted on Facebook, Maestro Babb, it's Maestro Babbism, that the music is not on the page, the music is in you. Oh. And it's watching their eyes light up, and after rehearsal, them saying to me, boy, that really sounded good, didn't it? But for me, it's a labor of love. Because I just get up there, like you do. You kind of improvise how the show goes. Well, I improvise how the rehearsals go, so that when it comes concert time, I hope I have a good product with them.
How many shows does the orchestra do per season? Is there a set number, and is it something that you travel around the South Shore? What do you do?
Well, we do in fact do some traveling. But we do a children's concert to start off our season. We have young musicians come and sit in the orchestra. Weymouth cut out their string instrument program many years ago. And so what we do is provide the young string players an opportunity to come and feel what it's like to sit in an orchestra. And what we've done with that is our concertmaster for next season, because Pat's retiring after, 30, 40 years. She was there before I was. That she started out as a 12-year-old violinist in the orchestra and now has finished her degree at Bridgewater and looking for a teaching job, but she's going to be our concertmaster next year. So, it's a great thing. But that's first concert. Then we do some holiday concerts. And then in spring, depending on the situation, will depend on where we play and how many times we play. But usually it's a 5 or 6 concert season.
What's some of the things that a conductor does that maybe folks don't know? Other than being the one who brings in the certain areas of the orchestra, whether it's percussion, the strings, what else is there that you do that folks don't realize?
Well, the job is really twofold. When I start rehearsals, I have to understand what the finished product is. Then I have to be the kind of a manager that's going to get these musicians to that finished product. I learned early on in my tenure with the Southeastern Philharmonic that musicians don't make mistakes on purpose. So you don't have to scowl at them because they made a mistake. You've got to encourage them to be the best musicians that they can possibly be. To the point where I think it was somewhere around my second or third year after I made that discovery, and wanting to free them up at the concerts, because people get really tight at a concert because they don't want to make a mistake.
Right.
So, and they will not play now a concert unless I stand in front of them before the concert and say, for all the mistakes you are about to make, you are forgiven.
All right, the maestro's blessing.
Yeah,
very nice.
But my job is to get them comfortable, but my job is to also inspire them. All those gyrations and stuff are not just for show to the audience. It's to try and get the musicians to do it better. Give me some more. And then you have to balance things when they get out of hand and all that kind of stuff. But I've got to be the reliable Joe up there.
How big is your orchestra? I mean, folks who are going to come and see this show again, don't forget May 10th, Whitman Town Hall.
And it's free.
And it's free. My favorite four-letter word, free.
Well, we're going to have between 55 and 60 musicians on stage.
Wow.
And they're all volunteers.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
I guess I have to add, when it comes to having volunteers and having that many folks, I guess you have to kind of walk a fine line when you're working with them and kind of bringing them along and depending on their strengths and weaknesses to be able to perform such pieces.
Yeah, that is difficult. But the thing is that I had my own professional orchestra for 19 years up in Concord, New Hampshire, and what I found was that it's the same kind of thing, that professional musicians want to enjoy their experience too. Right. Just like, we go to work and we get paid, but we like to have fun at work. So yeah, the fine line is to make sure that they're having fun. Sarcasm goes a long way with amateurs. It really does. Right. And that's part of the fun, because I don't know how many people you've known for 35 years, but there are people that have been playing in this orchestra since the time I got there and well before that. They've been there for 40, 50, and some even longer than that. So you become an extended family.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, and you treat your musicians the way you would treat your family, and they look at me as he's here. We really enjoy having him. Matter of fact, a cellist just said to me a couple of weeks ago, said, "Bob, I can't imagine this orchestra without you." I said, "Well, Gary, I probably have another 15 years to do this."
Right.
Which which conductors live a long time because of the upper body aerobics that we do.
Right.
And it's really exhausting up there to keep flailing away for a couple hours.
So you really get a workout then.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's well,
at least every Thursday night.
Well, yeah, Thursday night and concerts, and one time I was conducting 3 and 4 orchestras, so I weighed less than I do now. Let me put it that way.
Do you have any particular? What are your favorite pieces to have to see performed by an orchestra that you're leading?
Well, what happens is my favorite piece is the one we're doing.
You sound like very political.
Well, you have to.
Okay.
You've got to believe in what you're doing. The musicians will complain. Oh, we're not. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do. But my job is to convince them that it's a great piece. The audience is going to love it, and we're here for the audience, not for certain individuals. So my job, in order to sell it to them, is to really believe that these are excellent pieces that we're going to play. For instance, one of the pieces that we're going to do at the concert, and this concert was programmed around music that was happening in 1915. Right. There's a piece that we're playing that was the second piece purchased by this orchestra. Yes.
Wow.
It's got a number 2.
Did you still have it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And one of the composers at the time was Gustav Holst, and Gustav Holst wrote the Pomp and Circumstance March. And it's my job to convince the orchestra and the audience this is not graduation. This was a piece of music that was really accepted by everyone, and it's a great piece of music. So,
do you find yourself just playing some of the timeless pieces, or do you do any modern day music that you incorporate into a performance? Just out of curiosity.
Well, the modern stuff would tend to be show tunes or that kind of thing. There's not, even with my professional orchestra, there's not a lot of modern music that I really like.
Really?
Yeah. When you look at classical composers of today, number one, the music is very, very difficult and takes a long time to prepare. and the quality of musicians would be that of the Boston Symphony Orchestra caliber. Right. So I usually stick with the gems and the standards and put a concert together of varied music, overture by Schubert, and then on this concert, because one of the orchestra members wanted us to, we're doing the last movement of the Beethoven Fifth Symphony.
Wow!
Which is, it's a little bit of a stretch, but last night at rehearsal, it was great.
Okay. And how, I mean, when you're getting ready, you're gearing up. I mean, just like anything. I mean, I've seen a lot of different performances, whether it's folks with, with musical skills to folks who are performing on stage, a musical or a play. And it's very much the same where you have the dress rehearsal is fantastic, but, maybe the first song, tune or two coming out the gate, it's kind of,
Well, yeah. And
what do you do in that instance?
Well, because I can't, there are no words that can be passed on. I just get this smile on my face. You lighten up, folks.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to do this. Just to get them back into comfortable mode. And it's something we talked about in rehearsal last night, that we just did a concert 2 weeks ago. And, it sounds good, but it's not that quality that they put forth in rehearsal, because they just, they get a case of the nerves, and but the difference is it's not a great difference, because they're playing notes and they're playing them really well. It's just I've got to get to their heart.
Right. Yeah. How about as far as how many pieces would you say are in the band, in the orchestra's repertoire? I mean, do you have a list of maybe 20 or 30 pieces that you could do? The material, is it that deep, or do you find yourself where for a season you set the bar for this is how many that we're going to do, and we'll perform them, and then at the end of the season you decide if you're going to keep them? Is that how does it work?
No, every season's a different season.
Okay.
And the music changes every season. So I pretty much know what the repertoire is going to be and how the season is going to work out, because we plan that in September.
God bless you.
And then it may be as many as 12, 15 pieces throughout the course of one season. But then, because it's an amateur orchestra, the next season starts, and sometimes it's music that we've played. I mean, after 35 years, we've done this before and that before. But we also have new musicians coming in constantly, joining us, and so it's new to them. And the thing is, the music never gets old to me. It's just good stuff.
I'm going to make just a quick analogy here. I think you might appreciate it. Would it be safe to say that what you do and what the symphony, what you endure with the symphony, is similar to a football team? And you could conceivably be the Bill Belichick of your orchestra, and you see new people, and it's a matter of introducing new people, and you know what to expect, you know how it flows. Would that be accurate?
It's very interesting. When my father passed away, I was having a conversation with my older cousin, who was drafted by the Green Bay Packers, didn't get to play. This is back in the 50s. Didn't get to play, but went on to be a football coach. And he just looks at me and says, "So Bobby," which is my name, "what do you do?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a conductor." "Well, what do you do when you conduct?" "Well, I get this group of people together and I teach them what we're going to do, and then I try and inspire them to do the best that they possibly can." And he looks at me and goes, "That's what I do as a football coach." So you're absolutely right.
Okay. Now you said that back in the day you were somebody who enjoyed sports. Would football be one of the top sports that you enjoy, or are there other sports as well?
Well, if I told you that I was quarterback on the city championship football team, I was a starting guard on the city championship basketball team, I played Little League baseball on the original Little League field in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
God bless you.
So yeah, and I love to play golf now. So yeah, I'm still very
talented, very sports oriented. Give me some more details. Let's talk about some of the little known things that folks don't know about orchestras, and what they can expect coming this May 10th?
Well, let me just do a quick little background of how this orchestra got started here in Whitman.
Yeah.
It was a Dr. John Coughlin was a dentist, and he had a patient named Frank Burnett, and a young patient, and the two of them played violin, and they started talking about, we should really get together because there's no music in Whitman. And so the two of them started playing duets. They invited a Dr. Ralph Leach, who was a piano teacher and a pianist, to then join them. Then they went to the high school. This is a couple years later. Went to the high school, got some of the high school musicians, and formed the Whitman Orchestral Society in 1915. And what happened was that began to grow. Dr. Coughlin became the conductor for 14 years. And Ralph and Frank stayed with the orchestra for 50 years. Wow. Yeah, so they were in, I didn't get here until 79. So they had left before I got here. But the origins go way back. And they started performing their spring concerts at the Whitman Town Hall, which is one of the reasons that we really wanted to come back here to celebrate this 100th season. And the secret to the longevity of this orchestra is its board of directors. It's made up of members of the orchestra that really care. We do our own fundraising, sell tickets at our concerts and all that kind of stuff. And it's just an amazing process.
I guess it is. When did they decide to go from being here in Whitman and moving it to Whitman and making it more of a regional thing than just a local thing? What
happened was that they started to grow. They had some connection to the Boston Symphony. Minot Beale, who was a violin player in Boston Symphony, lived in Abington and actually conducted the orchestra for a while. But what happened is started to grow, and there wasn't any place to rehearse. And so they changed the name to the Southeastern Philharmonic Orchestra, and then the next year they moved to Weymouth, to the rehearsing at the high school in Weymouth.
And again, you said that you have folks from all over the South Shore who are a part of this, and it's a volunteer effort. You talk about change. We've talked about changing up what the music is. What can we look forward to on May 10th? Some of the pieces that will be performed. Can you tease us with that?
I certainly can. One of the popular composers in 1915 was Irving Berlin. Irving Berlin was all over the place in 1915. So we have this wonderful medley of tunes of Irving Berlin, which include the Easter Parade and White Christmas. But it's a cross set of all the stuff that he did. Another composer that I talked about was Edward Elgar from England. He wrote the Pomp and Circumstance a couple years before 1915, but he was a very popular composer, as was Gustav Holst, and we're doing Jupiter from his Planets, which was actually written in 1915. So, it's a lot of good stuff and connecting. And I'll just tell you, and the audience will know, and it won't be a joke to them, as an encore, we're doing a Muppet medley. Bring the kids. Bring the kids.
Okay.
It's going to be fun for the whole family. But the Muppet movie came out in 1979, which is the year that I started conducting the orchestra.
Wow.
Yes.
So you're definitely looking forward to this.
Oh, absolutely. It's a wonderful hall. I was there a couple weeks ago, and you can do a sound check by clapping and listening to the reverberation.
Right.
It's a very, very live hall. And when we do Finlandia and those brass cut loose, it's going to be thrilling.
Now, here's the thing that folks may or may not know, and it's something that we're working on. We will, I believe, we're going to be there taping this event. I wonder what the constraints are as far as if we went out live. Would you prefer it? What's the legalities to that? I wonder if that's something we could check into. If it's just strictly we tape it, and it's something that we want to have people there. We want to have fannies in the seats. That's the purpose of having you here and talking about it, and that this is a free event. But I wonder about as far as those who wouldn't be able to make it there, if it's something that we could put on live. Is that something that I'm over my pay grade here?
I'll take it under musical advisement. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that. And that brings me to speaking about audience. There are two interesting factors that keep people away from classical music concerts.
Really?
Yes. Survey done by the American Symphony Orchestra League. Number one is people don't know what to wear.
Okay.
And the thing is, people can wear anything they want. You don't have to dress up. The orchestra does. I do. But just come and be comfortable. And number two is they don't know when to clap. And at my concerts, clapping is welcome at any point. Yep.
Okay.
So
something just to keep in mind for folks who do attend. And being Mother's Day, this would be a terrific treat to take your significant other, your mom, the whole family.
Yeah, and the timing, 2:30. You can go out to dinner before, or you can go out to lunch before, or you can go out to dinner after. Because concert's not going to last more than 2 hours, probably about an hour and 40 minutes.
What would the particular running time? What's usually the running time of one of your shows?
I don't like my shows to go over 2 hours, so I try and keep it somewhere around an hour and 45 minutes, hour and 50 minutes, with an intermission.
Okay. What if we have any aspiring musicians here in the Whitman-Hanson area who might want to find out if they can be a part of the orchestra? What's the protocol as far as if someone wants to get involved? How does that work?
Well, the best thing to do is to go on the website, the southeasternphilharmonic.org. Okay. And there, you can communicate on the website with the hierarchy of the orchestra. And we've actually found some players that, hey, I'm new to the area, I play this. Is there any chance of getting involved?
Right.
And we welcome everyone. Everyone is welcome to come to 3 rehearsals, and then a judgment is passed, and
I deem you okay for the orchestra.
Well,
Well, I'm sure it's being the conductor. It's a mix that you make sure that the blend is just right. You want to make sure that you don't have too much of one instrument, dominating a particular, show, or just as far as a group, right?
Yeah, and the whole thing is that I am the sole person responsible for the sound that comes out of that orchestra.
Right.
So
I see a lot of pride behind this.
Well, I tell people, conducting is not for the meek. It is absolutely not for the meek. But I also tell them there's no amount of money that can buy the experience of what it's like to be on that podium. It's just thrilling.
Maestro, we've got less than a minute left. If you can look in that camera and say anything to the fine folks who are watching right now, what would you say to them?
I would say come and enjoy the concert on May 10th. You'll laugh, you'll have fun, you'll enjoy the music, and bring the whole family, because it's a good experience for children too. Yeah, and if you've never been to a concert before, make this your first experience, because you'll come back.
I have nothing further to say other than to say make sure you have your fanny in this seat at Whitman Town Hall on May 10th. And until next time, have a great day.